Okay, today we're talking about Vinted. Have you ever had a customer agreed to come collect an item and then they never showed up? This person said, "Oh, buyer not collecting." I accepted the buyer's offer, packed carefully. The bag is sent to the next day. I finally made it off. Then I got then I'm guessing the seller got a reply, or the buyer. It is upsetting that you didn't collect it. I packed it carefully and shipped it promptly, and now it's going back to me. It's very disappointing. This person also said, my parcel with UPS was never collected and returned, but hasn't reached me yet. No update, no tracking. Buyer's refunded straight away. Another person said the same situation as mine, but it was been on post. Sometimes it doesn't happen very often, but sometimes when buyers don't collect the item. So, like, say for example, I went away for an holiday. I bought an item on Amazon, and I literally just got there the second day, the day after I'm back, and I was told the package was returned. I think sometimes when you ship an item, the buyer has a period of time to um to collect the items, and once that time has lapsed, it has to go back. Otherwise, what the post office is going to have a lot of uncollected post. It has to go back to the seller, and then you can deal with it. You can do whatever you want to deal with it, whether you relist it back on your platform on Vinted, or where whether you message the buyer. In most cases, I think most buyers would contact you and say, "Listen, I bought this item a while back and it still hasn't arrived." This person said, "Yes, happened to me twice. One is suspended. I don't even know what that means." Another person goes, "Money shouldn't be returned when someone doesn't collect. Simple as that. Teach them a lesson." Um, it could also mean that a lot of people are shopping online on multiple places and they might have just forgotten. Like, I'm sure they might have just forgotten that they have an order. If it's a small order, if it's not a big order, like maybe they might have forgotten that they have an order that they placed and they didn't know to. Obviously, it's not your. I mean, other than sending out a tracking number and you've done your part, I don't think. Obviously, I don't think, like, you should um tell the buyer, "Oh, listen, you didn't collect your package." They could have been on holiday. Probably could have messaged them and say, "Hi, this package was returned back to me. Do you still want this package? What's happening? How come you didn't collect your order? I just wanted to know." Another person said, "I think this is a big flaw in the system. Someone not picking up shouldn't be seller issue. It should be the buyer's issue." Another person said, "This is awful. Every time I get the message, item waiting for collection, I dread this will happen to me." I agree. Buyers shouldn't have to collect unless they have a valid reason why they can't. Why bother purchasing something to not collect it when it arrives? Not the same as you, but I had something returned from someone because it didn't fit and got delivered to a random garage, kind of near my house. I just came up in a conversation and in the garage, and I can collect it, and I collected it. Um, I don't have any proof of tracking number. Um, Sometimes I've had buyers, like, I have buyers return stuff and stuff returned. Look, the whole point is, part of selling online is people who are gonna return stuff. I mean, it's like you might get a 10% return rate for every 100 item you sell. You might get like 3 or 5 stuff get back. I mean, obviously, as long as the item is in good condition and you do your best to put a really great description of the condition of the item, you have no problem whatsoever. You know, sometimes the buyer might have high expectations. I remember suddenly, I think it was a Louis Vuitton bag, and you can tell it's properly vintage, but it's very sturdy. The buyer bought it for 70, I think, or 80, and demanded a free refund, saying that they wanted to be in a pristine condition. Even though the picture was clearly listed, I studied the condition, and the bag is very sturdy. So it's just, I suppose, it's managing the buyer's expectation. But in this case, either the buyers didn't have the time to collect it. I mean, the platform should probably send out the buyer a text message to say, "I your collection, your orders went to be collected. You have X amount of days left to collect." And then if they still haven't collected by that day, say you have X amount of days left to collect your item. Otherwise, your item will be returned back. You know. So I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Another person says this happened to me, but the buyer in France was very upset as it got no notification to say it was ready to be collected. They said they would log a complaint with Vinted, so I wonder if this has happened to you. Another person said none. Even myself received the notification that was ready to be collected. Probably not the same, but it's mentioned buyers have to have up to 14 days to pick it up, which I thought was crazy. I got notification it was ready to pick up. One of my buyers took 13 days to pick up. When I mentioned her being slow, she thought I meant as fast as she mentioned. She only got notification the day before the pickup. I think in this case, they probably should just extend it to like 30 days, collection period to 30 days. I have a Vinted account. I haven't really used it for selling, but I would imagine that your buyer needs to collect the item before they release the money. If that, I could be wrong. Anyway, if you sell on Vinted and you had a similar experience, let me know what you think the platform should do.